People are saying it more and more. Football is back. Look at all these totals over 50. Chicago, Cincinnati, over 50. Indy, Pitt, 50.5. Detroit, Minnesota, almost there. 48.5 for San Francisco and New York. We have a 52.5 for Kansas City and Buffalo. Football is back, and we are going to begin with a game that is sneakily fantasy important. Sadly, the Chicago Bears at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we do this on Thursday. Some of you guys have commented hoping that we get to do this on Friday with more info news. I like the way that this is structured, actually, because we get to think about the slate in a more global context. Obviously, if Jake Browning plays, we do not like this game near as much, but come on. Is Flacco really sitting with an AC joint sprain? He knows what he's about, Jacob.
I mean, who knows? I don't know. The way that they're talking about it has made me think that it might be Browning. But since he +3, like, well, I'm trying to figure out what that line tells me in terms of what the market thinks it's going to be. Like, I think it's almost a hedge, right? Like, if it was Flacco starting, I think that line probably gets a little closer to 0. If it's Browning, that line is moving for sure. I don't think since he's only +3 if it's Jake Browning, right?
It's just hard for me to say. Jake Browning leads the NFL in percentage of plays that are turnover-worthy plays. He is dead last in the NFL over the last 2 years in EPA per play. Like, he's really bad. The difference, like, not that Flacco is, quote, good, but the difference between, like, the 90th best quarterback in the world, which is probably what Jake Browning is, and the 37th best quarterback in the world is, like, quite a chasm, and we are seeing that chasm happening in real time. DeAndre Swift did not practice on Wednesday. Roma Dunze listed as questionable. DJ Moore also listed as questionable. I'm expecting Luther Burden to not play. I believe only quarterbacks get cleared from a concussion in 1 week. I don't think any
and Marvin Harrison twice.
That's true. I had forgotten.
Yeah.
So if Burden plays,
like the one thing he's really good at. He's not very good at football, but he's elite at getting cleared from concussions.
All right. Well, shout out to him. So this is the question I have for you. This total is a bazillion. I think it's really just Chase from the Bengals. Like, Chase Brown, sure, fine, whatever, play him if you want. I'm not that into it just because the running back position is so strong this week. But is there anyone from the Chicago side that you want to play in this big total?
Yeah, there is. And I mean, I think any combination of them, really. Swift, for sure, will be a guy I'll be looking to play, I think. I just feel like he'll be in that second or third group of running backs from an ownership perspective. He's missed practice, but he misses practice like every week these days. He's dealing with some stuff. I think he'll ultimately be fine. And then, I think Caleb is in play. Like, if you want to stack him up, Dunze is obviously the best option, but they spread it around enough that I think it's plausible to go elsewhere. I think Loveland, for sure, especially if Komet does not play again, would definitely be an ideal stacking partner. The Bengals have been horrible against tight ends specifically, and he'll be a cheap, easy way to get correlation in your lineup. And then I'll say I do think at some point in time, maybe not this week, like, some team is going to be like, we're not letting you target Jamar Chase 23 times per game. And T. Higgins, I think, is going to have a big game. I don't know when, but that's going to happen at some point. And I do want to be ahead of that in DFS as well.
I do agree with that. I don't know if this Chicago Bears team is going to be the team that does it. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, so if Burden's out and Zacchaeus is legitimately questionable, because it sounds like he is with this banged up knee injury. Like, it sounds like it was somewhat limiting, and it might limit his snaps even if he does play.
You want to play a wide back?
Well, yeah.
Komet. Okay.
Komet is probably going to be back, but I think that if Burden is out and Zacchaeus is hampered, we could see just a decent chunk of 12 here. I was so frustrated by Loveland last week. Actually, he had that 18-yard catch on the first play of the game, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
All right, they're going to get him going. He had a reception on their 2-minute drill at the end of the first half that set them up to kick a field goal that I don't actually think they executed.
No, he came up short.
Yeah. Well, I think Caleb messed it up, right? Didn't Caleb?
No, they got the kickoff. He just was 3 yards short of the goalposts.
All right. Shout out to Cairo Santos. It's lit, Cairo. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this game does have a bazillion point total, but for me, it really is like Caleb with Rome, and just Chase. I don't really want to be playing Flacco. I don't really want to be playing. Maybe I'll be wrong about Chase Brown and I'll change my tune by Sunday, but I don't really think so. He is in a legitimate
No.
50-50 split with P. Ryan.
Yeah, and it's helped for the efficiency for sure, but it's going to come down at some point, and then you are left with the timeshare back.
Yeah.
Chase Brown and DeAndre Swift are kind of like, like as their role declines, their efficiency
Spider-Man
increases.
pointing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your team, the Indianapolis Colts, traveling to play outdoors against the
About
Pittsburgh
to have
Steelers.
the most gut-wrenching,
50.5 point total.
inexplicable loss of the season. Like we talked about this pre-show. Like I've watched this game before. Like we are going to outgain them by over 200 yards. We are going to have an ill-timed penalty on like a 3rd and 12. We're probably going to miss multiple field goals in this game. Just like chicanery is going to happen, and it's going to feel like we're outplaying them the entire game. And then you're going to look up, and the Steelers are going to win 28-26. I just feel so confident about that, unfortunately. But I mean, I can't believe it. If you had said in August that the Colts and the Steelers were going to have over a 50-point total in Week 9, I mean, it's what has happened this season is fantastic. Excited for this game. Excited to be able to watch it spoiler free outside of the Shipcast this Sunday. What are your thoughts on this one? I'll add some flavor afterwards.
My thoughts are is that the Steelers defense is like really bad, and they're really bad in such an interesting way because they do not pressure the quarterback. They also play a lot of man, which is that's just like not really how modern NFL defenses work. Like I obviously I am not a huge ball knower, and a lot of this is like secondhand, but people are like, well, okay, so if you're not pressuring the quarterback and you're playing a ton of man, you're sort of just letting the opposing offense do what they want to do and then impose their will upon you, and then putting your individual defensive players on islands and saying, if you have a bad rep, we are going to get beat. And it's just very hard for all 11 guys on a given play to have a good rep. I believe they have given up 30 the most times of any team in the NFL this season. I would need to double check that, but I believe that is the case. What is very surprising about this slate is you see that 9% projected ownership there on Jonathan Taylor. I double checked that elsewhere. That is verified and fact checked by Establish the Run, by SaberSim as well. They do not have Jonathan Taylor as even close to the most popular play. And I think I learned my lesson last week from playing a 68% on Bijan Robinson. And even McCaffrey was still like, McCaffrey was in a worse spot last week against the Texans. So he was 12% on. He's in a good spot this week. But I think if it's even close, and there is some value this week that lets you get Taylor without sacrificing too much, I think I just prefer Taylor by quite a bit over McCaffrey.
Man, we're going to be hitting over 10K soon, hey?
I mean, I assume by next week.
Yeah. I mean, he just looks absolutely unstoppable. I also played more McCaffrey and more Bijan last week, which was really painful. And we'll see this week. I'll still be monitoring the ownership, but it does seem like he's not going to get quite as steamed, which I guess just because it's not like this crazy nut spot against the Titans. I will note the Colts like do really how to call different plays versus different coverages, and they really pay a lot of attention to what defense's weaknesses are. I don't know, like if he's a DFS play, because I just don't know how high the ceiling is without scoring twice or something. But I do think it's a really good matchup for Josh Downs. He tends to be their man beater on the team. The other guys tend to be more zone-based concepts. So I do want to probably get him in at least one lineup. And certainly if I play Daniel Jones, I'd want to get Downs involved in the stack. And then, coming back, I mean, I think the Colts defense is extremely mid. So if you want to stack this game up and you want to play the Colts, by all means, play Jalen Warren or DK Metcalf. I wish there were more options on the Steelers, but I think those are really the only two that are DFSable.
Honestly, I kind of like Metcalf here. I kind of like the Metcalf,
for sure.
The Metcalf Taylor correlation. Like you could certainly do a Daniel Jones, Michael Pittman Jr. Metcalf and say, all right, well, Jonathan Taylor got 27 and had a very good fantasy day, but did not have the fantasy day. Tyler Warren, I bet this week we are going to see like season long lows on Tyler Warren ownership. Just does not feel like Bowers is 5,000. Gadsden is in a really good spot. He's 5,300. I believe George Kittle is 4,700. Travis Kelce is 4,600 in the highest total game of the slate. So if you do like Tyler Warren, he still leads all tight ends in first read target share, which is we're 8 weeks into the season. It's like he has taken a lot off of Downs's plate in terms of like the RPO stuff. He's just a very good player. Tyler Warren looks like a huge hit for the Colts. Would you play any Aaron Rodgers? Would you play like Rodgers, Jonnu stuff at all? Or would you just do Jones?
I don't think so. I think I would not. I think if I'm stacking this game, I'm doing Taylor with Metcalf bringing back, or I'm doing Jones with 1 to 2 of his pass catchers and a Metcalf or Warren bring back. You could also play both. You could play Jones, Taylor, and one of Pittman, Warren, Downs, Pierce, and then bring a Steeler back. That's no problem. They've been using him in the passing game a lot more this year. He already has, I think, 3 receiving touchdowns this year, 2 or 3 receiving touchdowns this year. So nothing wrong with playing Jones and Taylor together.
Yep. All right. A game that we will not have to talk about very much. The Denver Broncos are traveling to play at the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have allowed 103 points halfway through the season. 103. I mean,
and have a losing record.
And have a losing. Well, I believe they're 500 now, right? After
Aren't
last
they 3
week?
and 4.
Oh, you're right. You are right. They are 3 and 4. So basically, they are this incredibly stifling defense. They have Nico Collins back this week, so there's not cheap guys. Like, we don't have to pretend to like Dalton Schultz. Jalen Noel is going to go back to 27% of the routes. And sometimes what you'll get with these really good defenses is the offense will be so good that other teams are forced to play optimally against them. So even though the Chiefs defense is pretty good, but teams will put up points against them because they force other teams to play optimally. Right. No team is playing optimally. What every team is going to try and do against the Texans this year is let their horrible offensive line put CJ Stroud in bad spots and win 17-14. Sean Payton will be happy to do that. The only guy I really consider playable here is Troy Franklin, just because he's 4,900. That's really it. Like, they're just trying to find some value this week, but this game sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I would play Nico against the patch 13-less Denver Broncos.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I would play Nico.
7,100 though.
Yeah, I mean, that's expensive, but I don't think he's going to be owned at all. He hasn't been great this year. I would bet that like 33% of Millimaker enterers are not aware that Pat Surtain is out for like a month, and they just see sort of the Denver DVP and get scared off. So yeah, I would play Nico. I mean, like, I don't know if I will in like the 3 small field lineups I do, but theoretically I would. And I agree with you. Troy Franklin's totally fine too. But for the most part, this game's not really in my plans.
No, I agree. A game that is in my plans, at least from one side, the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Nashville to play at the Tennessee Titans, 43.5 point total, 9.5 point road favorites. I guess the question is twofold. The first is, do you foresee any chance that the Titans are able to push the Chargers in a way they were not able to push anyone else, basically, in the NFL? And if they are unable to do that push, will the Chargers PROE stuff stay, or are they just happy to run the ball?
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. So if you're an audio listener, when we do these shows, Davis has the Run the Sims projections pulled up right in between our faces. And he always sorts by base projection. There are 6 members of the Los Angeles Chargers who have a higher base projection than the highest base projection of the Tennessee Titans. And that includes quarterback. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen this in the years that we've done this, where there's 6 Chargers with the higher base projection than someone from the other team. That is astounding to me.
Also, how often do you see 3 wide receivers all projected within 2 points of each other, and they're all kind of good plays? That also never happens.
Exactly, and all better than the opposing team's quarterback. Yeah, it's nuts. Well, I guess I'll let the projections guide me on this one. I would play the Chargers. I would not play the Titans. I do think you can play Chimere DK. He's been popping off in the 2 games since Brian Callahan was fired, since Tyler Lockett was released. He has over 16 points in both of those. He's kind of been their wide receiver one. He's the guy that gets open in the short areas. This offensive line's not very good. That's kind of where they can do some damage. But yeah, I think the PROE stuff is pretty real. It's just a matter of if they get up a lot like they did against Minnesota, that's why it's OE. They will run the ball if they're way up ahead in the second half, which is pretty possible. But like we saw against Minnesota, they came out throwing in the first half. They didn't really start getting run heavy until the game was well out of hand. So I think we know what their identity is. I think it's just like any team. If they get up ahead by enough, they'll turn to the run. I think you could stack the Chargers in any way. You could totally play Kamani Vidal. You could play Herbert with really any two groupings. I'm fascinated by the Keenan Allen projection here, given that he's coming off a game with a 27% snap rate.
He gets the end zone targets. That's really what it is. Yeah, I would assume, first off, that this will probably be adjusted to some degree because Adam and Yuta always do a bunch of market checking. That is interesting that he barely played. Although, honestly, like to me, QJ is the one who has the most room to go down because Gadsden. I don't. This might be a hot take. I think Gadsden kind of makes QJ the most replaceable part of the offense.
He does, because he does a lot of the same stuff. He does those like runaway routes, right? It's like the deep seams, the deep crossers, like and Q. That's kind of how they were hitting QJ earlier in the season. So I just don't understand these projections. If this leads to like a Ladd decrease in ownership, to me he's like far and away the better projecting of the three Chargers receivers. Like I would rank it price agnostic: Ladd, Gadsden, Tier, and then Keenan, QJ. I think just because that one of the things that they've been doing with Gadsden. So the previous week's game against the Colts, they just fell behind by 20 basically immediately. So they were playing that whole game in 11 personnel with Gadsden as the sole tight end. Coming out of that game, I think a lot of people thought, well, that's not really like a sustainable way to play full time. So does that mean either Gadsden snaps are going to go down, or are they going to have to reorient their offense differently? Because that you can only really do that if you're already in a situation where the team is expecting you to pass every time. Gadsden's like 230 pounds, not exactly an elite tight end run blocker. And against Minnesota, they just went really heavy 12 personnel. And so they were playing Gadsden a ton, but they were playing him mostly as the second tight end. And that was taking Keenan Allen off the field constantly. They're 12 personnel guys. It's Ladd and it's QJ, and they even rotate in Trey Harris in 12 personnel sets ahead of Keenan Allen. So he's never seen the field there outside of three wide receiver sets. So yeah, in a game against the Titans where I think they will probably play from ahead, and they'll want to keep honest, like I'd be surprised if we see Keenan play much in this game. His targets when he's out there is going to be really high, but he's going to be more like a even more fragile Josh Downs, I think, rest of the season with Gadsden's emergence.
Well, there's a new fly in the ointment. His name is Trey Harris. Trey Harris played 91% of the one wide receiver sets against Minnesota. I can't get this play action thing out of my head that at least one time over the next month, the defense, there'll be 8 men in the box. It'll be Trey Harris out there. It'll be a good Kamani Vidal play fake. A safety will shade over to Gadsden's side, and Trey Harris is going to score, like an old Demarcus Robinson for the Chiefs touchdown, where he catches the touchdown and literally no one is in the frame. Not that you should play Trey Harris this week, although I don't know. I've seen worse things than playing a $500 Trey Harris.
He more so just hurts the other three guys. This is perfect. So Hayden has Charger snaps in 3, 2, and 1 wide receiver sets the last 2 weeks. So basically since Gadsden has really emerged and QJ has been back healthy. Gadsden plays 85% of the 3 wide receiver sets, 63% of the 2, and 79% of the 1. McConkey plays 96 and 84 of 3 and 2 wide receiver sets, only 3% of the 1 wide receiver sets. That leads to him playing on 90% of pass plays. QJ, 93, 79, 3. That equates to 87% of the pass plays. Trey Harris, 38, 32, 91, which is 34% of the pass plays. And Keenan, 68% of the 3 wide receiver sets and 0, 2, or 1 wide receiver sets. That equates to 65% of the pass plays, which is like early season Josh Downs zone for sure.
Yeah. All right. Great game. Next, Minnesota traveling to play at Detroit. This one really is just such a Rorschach of what do you think of JJ McCarthy, because the total is 48.5. Detroit is an 8.5 point favorite. I would assume if you put Sam Darnold in this game, last year's Sam Darnold, this total is what? 53.5. Detroit is favored by 2.5. And it is the game that we are all most excited about. I am willing to be the brave person to say, I think that JJ McCarthy has a lot better games in his future. I don't think that the Minnesota Vikings were insanely stupid for letting Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold walk out of their building. I think that it could very clearly not work out for them with McCarthy, but to judge him based on 8 quarters, 2 of which were okay, 1 of which was awesome, and then 4 of which were downright really bad. We've seen guys have looked bad against this Atlanta defense, not too well last week, but it's not a terrible defense. It's not an easy defense to play against. Where are you at on Detroit, Minnesota?
I mean, who knows what we're going to get from JJ McCarthy? He's a black box. So I'm just going to let the market be my guide. Like, I'll look at the ownership on Sunday morning, and if the market is telling me we think JJ McCarthy has 0 chance in being productive, and we're seeing sub 10% ownership on Justin Jefferson, we're seeing similar on Jordan Addison, then in this game, maybe even as a whole, isn't getting as much ownership as I think it could. Well, then I'll just lean into what if he's good, right? I would even play him in that scenario because he's only $4,900 and he runs. So if you think this game is going to work because he's going to be competent, I think playing him directly is actually fine. But I would certainly play Jefferson, Addison, and obviously, if you want to kind of hedge it a little bit, you could just play a lot of the Detroit side. If the market does end up kind of giving more confidence in this game and they think it's going to stack it is one of the most owned games on the slate by Sunday morning, then I'll just avoid it, because I do think there's possibility that JJ is just like straight up unconfident, and that it kind of ruins the whole game. But I don't see a reason for me to have like a really strong stance individually. I don't know on what basis I could have a really strong stance individually. It's just a matter of, will the market be too sure one way or the other? And if I had to guess, I think the market's going to be too sure that he's bad. And is going to wind up
Justin Jefferson is not going to be 10% owned. Justin Jefferson is going to be 4.7% owned in most of your contest.
And that seems terrific. Like, I would love to play Justin Jefferson a ton at that ownership. Like, if we get JJ McCarthy's 4,900 and he's only 5% or 4% owned, and Jefferson's only 5 to 6% owned.
Oh, well, McCarthy will be 1% owned.
No, why? He's a $4,900 quarterback tied to Jefferson in a game with a 50 total, and he runs like that. He should be played in this game. Like, I agree. If he was a backup quarterback just coming in off the street, if he was Carson Wentz at $4,900, people would play him. So like, I think Jefferson, assuming that your read is right on the ownership, and I hope so. That's kind of my lean right now. That's definitely going to be like a gold star play contender for sure. We'll see if that's actually the case come Sunday, but him and Addison right now, I'm planning on featuring heavily.
The Lions have given up some like pretty significant work in the passing game too. They have all these injured defensive backs. I do think Gibbs himself is actually quite an interesting play. Someone put this in my YouTube chat the other day. He scored every game he's ever played against Minnesota, and he averages like 127 scrimmage yards against them per game. I mean, obviously that stuff doesn't really matter, but what is interesting is that he is not a part of the conversation of Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson. Like, he will not get steam this week. I don't think there'll really be much steam. Like, the market is kind of just going to drift away from this game, which is just kind of interesting because this is pretty much always a good fantasy game between Dan Campbell and KOC.
I think it's gonna be a fun game, and the same goes, for all we're saying for Jefferson, same goes for Amon-Ra, same goes for Gibbs. I think if I'm going to jam 2 expensive guys this week, and the ownership is going to be lower, all 3 of those guys easily have the chance to be the highest scoring player on the slate.
Yep. All right. The San Francisco 49ers traveling to play at the New York Giants. Really, this is kind of the first huge decision point of the slate, which is, what do you think Tyrone Tracy does in this game? Is Tyrone Tracy Tracy plus Scattaboo? Is he Tracy plus Scattaboo minus 25% efficiency? I'm inclined to just say, I don't know, man, Tracy's fine. The 49ers defense is super banged up. They don't really seem to want to play Devin Singletary, and in fact are rumored to maybe even be trading him. So Tracy is probably just a jam.
Yeah, interesting spot here where we have the game with probably the most owned cheap running back on the slate and Tracy, as well as the most owned expensive player on the slate and Christian McCaffrey. So I kind of like that they are in the same game, just in the sense of, if you want to bet against both, it's easier, right? In your lineup, if you want to be playing sort of the Minnesota Detroit guys instead, if there's other cheap guys you want to play instead, it's just easier to envision both failing when they're tied to the same game. In a vacuum, obviously, I think Christian McCaffrey, phenomenal play, best points per dollar among all the top expensive guys. He's probably the guy I'd be less inclined to fade than Tracy. Tracy, I'll just be guided by ownership. He projects well. I just don't think he's like that great of a player. I don't think he's going to be as involved in the passing game as Cam Scatterbo is going to be. He's on a bad team that's expected to lose. Like, he's the exact profile of guy where, like, if he's mega chalk at 5,100, like, I just have no interest in playing like a mega chalk Tyrone Tracy as the like underdog early down running back. But if the ownership stays reasonable, then totally, why not?
It will be more reasonable than like Rachaad White filling in or whatever. I would expect it to kind of set
like White's a way better projection play because he hits in every situation.
Yes. I like Tracy. I'm kind of interested actually in playing Purdy here, potentially, if he does in fact play, just as a way to get a guy who is very cheap at quarterback. Now, I mean, maybe he won't even play, right? Wait, dude, there's no one I hate more than Kyle Shanahan. You know what he said this week when asked if Purdy is playing? He said, it's not a long shot. Like, Kyle, can you give me one answer? Just one time in your life, Kyle, look me in the eye and tell me what's really going on. Juwan Jennings is 4,300. George Kittle is 4,800. I mean, these are crazy prices for what we know is, like, when all things are clicking, the 49ers will be one of the 5 best offenses in the NFL. Now, basically has not clicked all year, but that doesn't mean that once they gather all of their guys back and get them all in their right positions. And, Mac Jones, nice story. It was fun for him to get those wins. And, he's made himself a ton of money, but Purdy is a lot better than Mac Jones. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like no one actually believes that with what they're doing, with like the way these ownerships are, like the way they're treating. Oh, CMC, it's the same thing when Purdy's in Mac Jones. I don't think that's true. I do think Purdy is significantly better. All right. Oh, wow. How quick is this game going to be over? The Carolina Panthers traveling to play at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 13.5-point favorites. Josh Jacobs listed as questionable. He was limited in practice. He's going to play, obviously. Really, I mean, I guess there are two interesting things about this game. Are you interested at all in playing Tucker Kraft at peak pricing and probably peak ownership coming off of his 37 fantasy point game? And then, do we believe Dave Canales in what he's telling us, which is that, it's thanks for your service, Chuba, but this is Dowdle's backfield now? And will the Panthers offense be competent enough for 22 Dowdle touches at, whatever, 3% ownership being good? I'm kind of inclined to think that is a quite a fun play. Where are you at?
Yeah, I totally believe him. I think the plan is going to be Rico all the time. I wish that they weren't playing Green Bay because I do think the projection is going to be light on Rico, where I would just bet that the industry isn't aggressive enough in their shift. I just do get concerned, like, what if the plan changes because they get boat raced in this game? The only thing that gives me some hope is that despite being a good team, Green Bay just doesn't really blow teams out. Like, they just let teams hang around.
They let every team hang around. They do not blow anyone out.
So, like, if you were to tell me the most like likely scenario for this game, it's like, yeah, Carolina's just going to be down between like 6 to 10 points basically the whole game. They're going to keep running the ball, and then Green Bay will eventually win at the end. But so yeah, I'm in on the Rico play, big time in on the Rico play. Not doing the Tucker Craft 5,700. I think he's like the new George Kittle. Like he's
so the new George Kittle.
He has the real, really, really high ceiling. But like, just because he had this massive ceiling game, I don't think that really meaningfully affects what we should expect his median to be going forward. He to me is a guy I want to play at low ownership, not at mega high ownership on a record high price. That seems bad for what kind of player he is. So yeah, I'd be looking at Tat potentially, definitely Rico. Josh Jacobs is totally fine. I guess if you're playing a Packers wide receiver, like, it's probably Dobbs, but like, I just probably won't play any of them.
Yes. I do think Watson at 4,400 is playable.
Yeah, I mean, because his routes won't be there, but he just needs to hit a deep touchdown, so it's fine.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I really do. Do we think that Tet can get 12 targets here? I mean, the thing is Bryce is probably going to be back this week. It's probably not going to be Andy Dalton.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I saw like people on the people on Twitter were like, oh, like, people thought that, Andy Dalton would be better for this offense. Like, well, I didn't really think he'd be better for this offense. I thought he would be better for funneling targets to Tedero McMillan, and that was true. He had 99 yards in this game. I think that was the most or the second most he's had all. Yeah, he was the second most. He was 1 yard away from his season high in yardage with Andy Dalton. He tied for the most targets. He had the most receptions. And so, like, yeah, I do actually think that Andy Dalton, maybe not better for the offense, but definitely
Andy Dalton was definitely worse for the offense, and he was definitely better for Tet specifically, which was what I thought last week, and then is also what ended up happening. It was just clear, and that doesn't take a high level of football knowledge to know that was very predictable. All right, the Atlanta Falcons are traveling to play at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 5.5. Drake London is questionable. Ramondre did not practice on Wednesday. London did not play last week. We'll see. I suppose the interesting way to think about the Patriots offense is, are you better off just never stacking Drake May, or do you try and force it with Diggs or Henry?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the prices and the ownership, but I think as a general rule, you never have to stack Drake May. And then it's just a matter of, like, does it work out one week where, you happen to get a guy at the right price in the right week and the right ownership and everything else. But, like, probably my preference would be, if I'm playing Drake May, is like, I just play, I don't know, the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions game is a good example of this, where it's like, it's pretty easy to see a world where, Goff has a totally fine game, but Amon-Ra goes off. McCarthy has a fine game, but Addison or Jefferson goes off. But like, May still outscores those quarterbacks, but you would have rather just stack the other game. And so you just kind of layer a game stack with pocket quarterbacks on top of Drake May. That's probably how I'll play him more often than not. And then if you just kind of get to the end of your lineup and you're like, well, look, I can just fit Hunter Henry in as my tight end. He's no different than any other tight end. I've got to spend mid 3K on a tight end anyway. Well, sure, why not? And you hope that you big the touchdown. That's probably how I view Drake May. It just gets spread around so much. And it's like, I'm not playing Keyshawn Boutte at 5K ever. I'm some of these guys like Douglas and whatever, like, they're not even DFS playable at all, but like, they run routes and they could be the one to get the touchdown. So yeah, it'll be interesting here. The other interesting note, and this is the limits of our Thursday morning show. Ramondre Stevenson is practiced yesterday with a toe injury. We'll see. What do you think the ownership would be?
Nah, dude, I'm not falling for it. I'm so not falling for it. No, that is such a
That's
spot.
what I think that the market will do. I don't think that the market's going to be that excited to play him. I think they're going to be spooked.
I
And it's
don't.
like, who else is going to play? It's going to be what, 50% snaps for Terrell Jennings? I mean, maybe, but like, I'd play Trevion Henderson.
All right,
without
on
Ramondre.
their practice squad. Oh, I've seen this. I've even seen this movie happen before. A young man by the name
It's
of
the earnest, yeah.
Not only that, not only do they have that, they also have Jonathan Ward. You might remember him.
I don't think Ward would play. It's because they already have Terrell Jennings. They have Dearness Johnson working with the guys up this week. So it would be Trevion, Terrell Jennings, Dearness Johnson.
There'll be like a Demario Douglas end around. There'll be a designed play for Marcus Jones. All of a sudden, what you've got from Trevion Henderson is 12 rushes, 3 targets at 23% ownership on DraftKings.
Yeah, this is what I want to hear, because if you're this scarred and won't play him, then I think you speak for a lot of the masses. So I would like to lock him in. Just see what happens.
Because this is my read of the situation, and maybe this is a little bit more global fantasy football than DFS this week, is my read of the situation is that they are just disappointed with him. Like that they're just like, this is not the guy we thought we were buying. His attention to detail, his pass protection, his demeanor, his work ethic is just not what we thought we were getting, and we don't see any reason to reward that.
I mean, that might be right, but I just don't think that they really have a choice if they don't have Ramondre Stevenson this week. Like, and more so, I just think that they are incorrect. So I think that I think that they will have no choice but to give him a decent amount of touches in the first half of the game. And I think if he was to get sustained touches, like he did last week, for what it's worth, he will look significantly better than he's looked in fits and spurts so far this year. And I think that then he will then continue to get more touches. Is my hunch. I would.
No, I think you're right.
Gonna be, like, if this happened 3 weeks ago, he would have been like 45% owned, because everybody would have been like, "Oh my god, like, let's do this. Like, it's Trevion week." I just think people are so scarred, like you are, that
I'm not even scarred. I would say
he might be less owned than Tyrone Tracy for a player that like a month ago we all thought was elite.
Yeah, I would start Trevion Henderson in every redraft league I had him in.
Well, I hope
Ramondre to be out.
Yeah.
So I'm not so scarred that I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm going to start Jawan Jennings over Trevion Henderson with Ramondre out. I actually kind of like Pitts as a play here. If you assume that London's back and he draws the Gonzalez matchup, Pitts is sort of interesting. But
London plays a lot in the slot, so it might be the Moondog that sees the most of Christian Gonzalez.
Man, that had to have been hard for you to watch last week, thinking this is the Mooney spot, and Kirk Cousins just let you down. All right,
dude. Didn't enjoy that.
An awesome fantasy game, horrible real life game. The Jacksonville Jaguars traveling East Coast to West Coast. I guess traveling even further because they are coming back from London. Do you think they flew from London out to California or Nevada and practice out there? Do you think the Jaguars flew back from London and practiced in Jacksonville and then flew out? Doesn't really matter. It kind of matters for biological clock reasons, but they are actually favored at the Raiders. Brock Bowers is back, braces off. Brian Thomas Jr. is limited in practice, and according to the most recent thing I just read, also practicing with a brace on his shoulder, a la Xavier Worthy. I think there's a chance, one, that he just does not play. Two, if he does play, given how fucking alligator arms Brian Thomas Jr. has been this year, I cannot imagine, and this speaks very poorly on Brian Thomas Jr., that I'm basically saying he has less dog than Xavier Worthy, who, if you did not know he had a dislocated shoulder watching him play, you wouldn't be able to tell. You will be able to tell Brian Thomas Jr. is playing with an injured shoulder in this game.
Yeah, he's dogless for sure. I mean, look, this is the Slappy redemption arc game.
It's time.
Right? I was tweeting about it yesterday. I maintain that had he never gotten hurt, that Brock Bowers would have been smashing this whole time. You know, I think that the fact that he played hurt for those 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was afterwards.
Oh, it makes
really,
the haters think I was right.
It really made people think like that it was just never going to work. And I don't think that's true. I mean, I guess it was never going to be a better pick than Jonathan Taylor, but like I was taking that aside. He had 103 yards, 3 quarters. He looked fantastic. They were using him in really, really creative ways. He was getting a ton of design first read stuff on deep and intermediate routes. And then he got hurt significantly and they tried to play through it. And because of that, his route tree sucked for like the next 4 weeks. They were only able to use him on these little choice routes and stuff. I don't think that's what would have happened if you look at just how he got used when he was at full health. They've now shut him down. Will he ever, be a positive best ball advance rate piece? No, he effectively missed 8 weeks by playing hurt.
I don't know, man. If he rips off 16 points per game over the next 6 weeks, he could creep up.
I don't think so because his ADP was like right next to Jonathan Taylor, who rips off 37 points per game every single week. But anyway, that's my prediction is that he will be a contender for the tight end 1 overall the rest of this season. I think that this base projection is ludicrous. And I think that he will beat it by a lot. And I also think
it's pulling his efficiency numbers because not to get too inside football, but I understand
why the industry does what it does, and I don't care.
The projection is wrong.
I would say that I'm going to boost him, but I won't because he will be in every single one of my lineups. I'm just hitting that lock button. I'm just clicking the lock button, and I'm also clicking the lock button on Travis Hunter.
Let's go.
Because I'm stunned by this. Number 2 overall pick, and in his last game he had 8-105-1. Looked fantastic. Has looked good basically every time that they've targeted him for well over a month now. Could not be getting more positive coach speak going into the bye week. It's like we're going to get the best 11 on the field all the time. He got this role change. They used him less on defense. They started to use him in 2 wide receiver sets. All the talk, all the buzz is that he's going to be the wide receiver 1 coming out of the bye for them. Partially because he's been good, partially because Thomas
we got a report
injured.
No, it's probably a fake report that
they're listening.
Calls
they're
on
listening.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, so it couldn't be going up more. And I'm talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, is this a sell high window on Travis Hunter?"
No, it's a fucking buy.
I think it's a buy. It's a buy medium, whatever it is. So yeah. Well, this game will be in the Shipcast window, and I can promise you. Now, will I have any teams that are live at any contests? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to start just firing into the afternoon only slate. But I plan to have a Brock Bowers, Travis Hunter mini correlation in every single lineup that I do this week.
Will that be the most owned combination of 2 uncorrelated players in the SPY this week?
Well, they are correlated.
Oh, I guess they are correlated.
Yeah, they are correlated. It's a slappy redemption game, and it's just so great that it occurs in the Shipcast window because it will either be a lot of fun for us or it will be just miserable. But either way, I plan to watch a lot of my 11th place best ball teams climb into 9th this Sunday afternoon.
It is going to be a phenomenal week for our 11th place best ball teams. There's I've never been more certain of anything actually. Do
you know if you're advancing a single Brock Bowers team right now?
Oh, I can check. I bet I am not.
I'll check as well. I'm also gonna guess negative, but we'll find out right now. Yeah,
in Best Ball Mania, no,
on that one.
I am 0 for 28.
I got a lot in the top 5. So we just gotta find our way there, Brock.
Some of these are theoretically not dead yet. We will find out. Life. Let me draw your attention.
I'm advancing 2 Travis Hunter teams, so a lot more room. And we got 6 third place Travis Hunter teams, so a lot of room to go up.
Let me draw your attention towards a $6,700 Ashton Genty and a $5,600 Travis Etienne. I guess they are very inconvenient truth plays this week, but both of these head coaches and offensive coordinators will be using these guys more than their baseline. Etienne finally looks like he stinks again because this is just what happens to him every year.
Every single year.
I don't know what it is. I feel kind of bad for him because I loved him as a prospect, but basically, like,
Same.
his body just can't really handle playing tackle football. It's why he looks so good at the start of years, and then that's kind of why we like Tootin so much. Genty, total opposite. Every time he gets the ball, the dude looks absolutely electric. He's top 10 in the NFL in missed tackles forced per attempt. His vision yard stuff is really low, but his yards after contact per attempt is awesome. Genty, I don't think I'm going to make Genty my gold star play because there's a better running back play that's going to be my gold star play. So I guess he's like my silver star play. But he is phenomenally good here.
Yeah, he is, I think, the best buy you can currently make in a dynasty league. Like I had I bet you could trade.
Hard to buy a guy when you've already traded for him in so many
formats.
formats.
I do want, like, according to the website keeptradecut.com, which is probably my least favorite website in the entire world. But
that is a smooth brain take. We can argue about that later, but Keep Trade Cut basically does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I understand that, but it just aggravates me. You could get Ashton Genty plus for Jonathan Taylor right now in a dynasty league, and I get that if you have Jonathan Taylor in dynasty league, the concept of trading him away seems horrible. But like, I would be pretty tempted to do that and shave 6 years or 5 years off of your RB1 position. Yeah, I think Genty's a massive target right now. Just based on everything we've seen out of him, he looks exactly as advertised. He's just stuck in this shitty spot. And like, eventually, it's not like wide receiver. Like, he doesn't even need to be part of a good offense to be elite. He just kind of needs them to not be like a bottom 5 offense. And like, at some point in the next couple of years, surely that will be the case. And in DFS, that could just be the case for any given game. So I agree. I love Genty this week. I don't think I'll play ETN, but you could. I'll be very in on Genty. If there's any lineup I don't play Bowers in, it'll be because I'm playing Genty.
Any interest in $4,600 Geno?
No.
I said this on a show at some point this week. I bet like the absolute smartest guys, like you go look at like a high stakes, like the Game Changer or something like that, and like the absolute smartest dudes will have 2x the field on Geno. I bet.
Well, I'm not one of the smartest dudes, so I won't.
No, me either. All right. The New Orleans Saints are traveling to play in Los Angeles. The Fighting Tyler Shucks are 14-point dogs. Very interesting spot with Puka here, where he returns. He's awesome. Everyone thinks he's going to be great. But how many dropbacks is Stafford going to have here? Not that, like 27 dropbacks, maybe. It's not going to be a ton. Can Puka still get there? I mean, I'm sure he probably can.
Yeah, totally can. Very into Puka. Like, if you were to rate the expensive wide receivers, so like, let's say Puka, Chase, let's assume Flacco plays, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, what would be your ordering of them?
My ordering of them at wide receiver would be a guy we have not talked about yet. Rashee Rice would be first.
Yeah,
Jefferson would be second. Puka would be third. St. Brown would be fourth. And Chase would be fifth. Not because Chase sucks, but because Chase is going to be far and away the most owned of that group, I think. And they're all phenomenal. And if your preferences are in the exact opposite order of mine, you're probably right. I don't feel super strongly there.
Yeah, if we're including ownership into the mix, I actually think my favorite would be Amon-Ra, followed by Jefferson. And then I would go, Rice, Puka, Chase, I think.
Yeah. I think that's probably right. I mean, frankly, allow me to be the inconvenient truther for this game. But Kyren Williams is scoring 3 touchdowns here, so just do whatever you got to do with that.
Yeah, you enjoy that.
I will. Me personally, I will enjoy that because I plan to play.
You love Kyren Williams.
I don't.
He's your favorite player in the NFL.
It's the first time in my life that I have been able to see what the boomer sees in the very average efficiency, like does what he asks, ham and egg or running back. Like, normally I look at a guy like this and I'm like, just come on, dude, play Jarquez Hunter. But with Kyron, I do see what McVay sees relative to the other guys in the backfield. And I'm happy to play him. Do you know that Rashid Shaheed had 12 targets, 7 receptions and 75 yards last week, or 9 receptions and 75 yards last week?
Sounds about right. Yeah, I expect the Saints. Honestly, I expect the Saints to be exactly the same as the Saints have been previously. I don't know if Tyler Shock's going to be slightly worse than Rattler, slightly better. I would guess slightly worse. But I think end of the day, all they are is like a vessel to spam PPR points to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and I don't see a reason why that would change.
Shuck had more first read targets to Shaheed than Olave for whatever it's worth on the 2 drives he quarterbacked. It's probably not worth anything, but there you go.
That does seem like something you'd be aware of.
It does seem like something I would be aware of. I believe I got that. I believe that was a Gretsch ceiling signals poll. Okay. So there you go. All right, game of the week, potentially regular season game of the year, depending on how hard these teams try. The Kansas City Chiefs are traveling to play at the Buffalo Bills. And, very unfortunately for denizens of upper New York, but Isaiah Pacheco probably not going to play in this game.
I love that you're like, this is a tough break for the Bills that our running back is out.
Because I've been very my party line on this has been the same. Everyone's been saying, the Chiefs really need to trade for Breece Hall. And I'm like, no, you guys have the exact wrong understanding of Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, and Patrick Mahomes. The more they are tempted to hand the ball off, the shittier they get. The backfield of Pacheco, Hunt, and Brashard is perfect for what they want to do. They have the best short yardage back in the NFL, which encourages Andy Reid to go for it more on 4th down. And they have a running back who cannot explosive run his way out of a wet paper bag in Pacheco. So, I mean, we might literally see like an 85% drop back rate for the Chiefs here against the Bills.
Yeah, what's the Kareem Hunt price? Can you pull it up?
Yes, he is, I believe he's 4,700 here. Now,
yeah, I would rather play him than Tracy, I think, because he's going to be way less owned. If that's wrong, then I'd rather play Tracy. Tracy projects better straight up for sure. But if I bet the path to Kareem Hunt getting 3 touchdowns in this game is so clear. And he's going to get 10 to 15 carries. He's going to get a couple targets, and he's going to be in this high scoring game environment with a lot of goal line opportunities. And he kind of is a fun way to play the grossest part of what should be a really fun game that people want to stack into passing games. So I'm on record. I will play Kareem Hunt as a great salary saving option. And then, I think I don't know, a braver and probably smarter person would really love Xavier Worthy this week. But I think I'm not.
Or maybe someone who's too dumb to know better.
Is Xavier Worthy the bell curve play? It's like I'm stuck in the middle of the bell curve, being like, I don't know, but the Davises and the Leones on either side of the bell curve are actually jamming him.
Honestly, I actually think there is a better comparison that is not nearly as insulting, which is just that he's T. Higgins. He is Rashi is Jamar Chase, and Xavier Worthy is T. Higgins. He's going to have 8 of the most uninspiring, what did he get last week? 6 for 55 or whatever games of all time.
Yeah.
But sometimes the game plan will be more heliocentric around him. Sometimes the defensive game plan will say, dude, we are not going to let Rashee Rice just get whatever he wants whenever he wants. Also,
Rashee Rice be stopped? Can a player whose entire role is based on being 4 yards from the line of scrimmage, can you actually take him away?
Yeah. You can press him. You can only rush 4, right? That's a great way to stop. If you do not want Mahomes to kill you on RPOs, you can only rush 4. The issue with only rushing 4 against Mahomes is then you give up the explosives. And not to do too much real football talk here, but basically the deal with the devil that teams have made against the Chiefs the last 3 seasons is we are sick of this shit. We don't want him throwing 50-yard bombs because that's just what he does. So we are going to give him 13-yard gains. We're going to give him these scrambles that he always does, because at least that we actually, in the Washington game, you saw a great example of this on the other side. The Commanders were marching down the field. Would they have like a 13-play first drive? What happened on that drive? Debo fucked up and they threw a pick, because the more plays you run, the greater degree of chance that the offense wide receiver runs the wrong route. Your quarterback steps on his, just whatever it might be. A 13-play drive is really hard to score.
For sure.
And that's what teams have done to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that Xavier Worthy is T. Higgins, because I'm unfortunately invested in his success. I'm a little worried it's just Jameson Williams, though.
So I think the difference there is that the peak version of the Chiefs cannot sustain itself without production from Worthy, whereas the peak version of the Lions very clearly can, because if the Lions had Isaiah Pacheco, well, if the Lions had Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Brashard Smith, Jameson Williams would get the ball a lot more.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point.
The Chiefs can't run the ball and don't really want to.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point.
So
So that makes sense. All right. So yeah, I think Mahomes, like, if you had to play one stack of this game, what would be your preferred stack?
So I actually think Allen is a better play than Mahomes here, because Allen has a giga crazy 47-point ceiling that Mahomes does not have, because Mahomes is way less likely. I know he has rushing touchdowns this year. He's way less likely to get the 1-yard rushing touchdowns. And I don't know, just like Josh Allen's final form is a better fantasy player than Mahomes is. I also think Allen will be less owned, because every Bills player sucks for fantasy other than Josh Allen and James Cook. They never they're all bad.
And the annoying thing is, in previous years, you used to be able to play those guys together, and then this year they decided to treat James Cook like he's Derrick Henry, and he hasn't caught a pass in a month. Like, I don't understand what's up with that.
I think more than a month now. I believe more than a month.
It's been since week 5. He's good at catching passes. What the fuck is with this? I don't understand.
People do forget that Joe Brady got ran out of Carolina.
I refuse, like, Joe Brady. Every single ball knower loves Joe Brady. I just want to be like 10 toes down that when he gets a head coaching job, I think he's gonna suck ass. I don't believe in this guy at all. I believe in Josh Allen.
Yeah. If you were going to play one, it would obviously be Shakir, but I don't even feel good about that.
Kincaid.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite way to play this game is Mahomes, Rice, and Worthy. And basically just saying that the Travis Kelce thing was like a 1-week anomaly, and that he actually is still not that good. Because that's the other thing with Worthy, is you have to ask yourself, how many more 23 fantasy point games does Travis Kelce have in him? And my answer would be probably maybe 1. It's just not who he is anymore.
If I had to do it one way, I think I'd go Mahomes, Hunt, Rice, Cook, maybe. Or I'd go Allen, Shakir.
I mean,
I guess just
in
Rice.
the playoff game last year,
Shakir, Hunt, Rice, maybe.
In the playoff game last year, James Cook killed them. He had he had like 27 rushes, I think.
Yeah, and they also threw him that outlet, like that wheel route out of the backfield. Can we do that again, please? Please, Joe Brady. Anyway.
Yeah.
Tilting.
All right, let's build ourselves a lineup, and then we will adjourn after probably too much talking about Mr. Worthy. But I mean, figuring out who's going to score touchdowns in that game is super important. I don't really know who it's going to be. I guess maybe I should have driven this point home more. Rashee Rice is averaging 22.5 fantasy points per game since the start of the 2024 season. That's more points than Jamar Chase over the same.
No, you can't extrapolate a small sample.
He starts every game with like 5 receptions, and then working from
I wonder if anyone tweeted that recently.
I think everyone's tweeted that.
Yeah.
All right.
He's legitimately just Michael Thomas again.
Yes, that's honestly, it's a better comp because even at Michael Thomas's peak, no one really believed he was a alpha Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase style guy. It's just the offense was designed around his strengths, which is also what I think about Rashee Rice.
For sure. All right. Let's all right. I will start us off with Mr. Rashee Rice. Why not?
There you go. All right. I'm going to go with my gold star play of the week. It is Kamani Vidal.
Okay.
Hassan Haskins has not practiced yet. They are 10-point favorites at Tennessee. If Kamani Vidal, I tweeted this earlier, but if Kamani Vidal was a second-round pick from an SEC school, you'd have people making their entire personalities Kamani Vidal like as their lock play this week. It's just he was a 4-year player at the University of Troy. So, and he sucked last year, so everyone thinks he sucks, but he's awesome. He's going to score a lot of fantasy points here.
All right, I will go with one of my two gold star plays. I'm hopeful we can get hires on both of them on the Shipcast. I will. Well, okay, sure. I was gonna do the other one, but let's do that one first. I'll start with Travis Hunter.
I'll take the other one. I will select. I was hoping this is where we would get this right here is the beginnings of one of the most beautiful lineups in fantasy football history.
One time for the slappies. Like we could have such a good time on Sunday if it's like just ping ponging back and forth, Hunter and Bowers. Come on.
It could be so good. Let's put in a cheap defense.
We'll be playing slappy drafter all day. It'll be great.
All right, let's put in the Giants defense. That gives us 6,000 left per slot, 24,000 DraftKings dollars overall.
All right. I will take let's see. We got some money here.
We got some money.
All right, I'm going to give us even more money. I will take Kareem Hunt.
Wow, Hunt, not Tracy. All right, let's go. I like it. I do think Hunt will be a little bit underplayed here because of Tracy and just because, the narrative, like, the Chiefs. Hunt. Yeah, he's Kareem Hunt. I guess the funny thing is you would not know this, but Kareem Hunt is basically the third down back for the Kansas City Chiefs in a Samaj P.
He's going to get every single high value touch. Like he's going to be,
Well, he was good
last year. Like he wasn't good. Like obviously he was bad, but like for fantasy, he was like he was a top 5 running back in expected points per game without Pacheco last year. Like you were happy to start him every week. Now I think Brashard probably gets a little bit more than like P. Ryan got last year, but like it's not that different.
62% in the long down and distance for Kareem Hunt, 23% for Pacheco. So then you bring his, if he gets 70% of the team rush attempts here, he is quite a good play. All right, I do want to try and see if we can get Jonathan Taylor in this lineup. It might not be doable. So if we put Taylor in, we have to basically punt a wide receiver spot to get any kind of quarterback that we want. So let's just see if it might not be possible. And if we need to replace him with McCaffrey, we can. In terms of like punt wide receivers, there would be Jennings, Zacchaeus, Slayton. I don't know. Maybe not possible.
Let's see. Scroll down a little bit because I can't actually see this stuff.
DK.
Well, you know what? Let's make it. Yeah, let's do DK. Yeah, I like DK.
All right, so if we do that, who does that give us at quarterback? 5,600. No, I don't think it's. I don't think it's doable.
I mean, we could do Trevor with Hunter, but that doesn't.
I think it's fine. I actually think Trevor's become a little bit underrated.
Sure.
JM had this great stat on Pete's show that 24% of Trevor Lawrence's games have actually been over 25 DK points. He just has a lot of like 11 pointers out there because of the way he plays. You know what? Let's do it. Trevor Lawrence, Kamani Vidal, Kareem Hunt, Rashee Rice, Travis Hunter, Chimere DK, Brock Bowers, Jonathan Taylor, and the New York Giants defense. That's honestly kind of the bones of a lot of what I'm going to try and accomplish. It's just very hard to play Jonathan Taylor. So just for example, you could remove Jonathan Taylor, you could put Jahmyr Gibbs in there, and that would allow you to get to Mahomes or Allen if you wanted to do that. It's just really just a matter of how many points does Jonathan Taylor get. Jacob, tell the people thinking about thinking your athletic column should be out on redraft values this week. Is that correct?
Yeah, I expect it'll be out today. I'm obviously not the one hitting publish on that, but I suspect that comes out at some point today. I just did a Dynasty Rankings update last night, and then at some point when I have a moment, I'm going to try to write up my thoughts on, because I write up the running backs basically every week, but I'm going to try to do a little write up on the non-running back rookies through the midpoint of the season. I'm tentatively hopeful that will be out by tonight. If not, certainly tomorrow, at the worst, Saturday morning, but it's coming. And I'll see you guys soon.
Beautiful. All right, everyone. Make sure that you are subscribed to Thinking About Thinking. Go read Jacob's stuff on The Athletic. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with you guys next week. Adios.